The miscalculation, the morning sun cast long shadows across the crystalline formations of Nexus 7 as Captain Zara Chen finished her daily survey of the local marine ecosystems. The research station hummed quietly with the activities of 12 scientists, their work focused on cataloging the planet's unique biodiversity. For 18 months, they had lived peacefully on this remote world, far from the conflicts that occasionally flared between human colonies and various alien species. Zara had never expected to lead anything more dangerous than a deep-sea expedition. Her background in marine biology had brought her to this distant planet, not any military training. The closest thing to a weapon on the entire station was Dr. Webb's collection of archaeological tools, and even those were primarily for delicate excavation work. That peaceful morning shattered when their long-range sensors detected the approach of an alien fleet. Captain Chen to the communication center immediately. Came the urgent voice of their communications officer, Lieutenant Torres. Zara dropped her sample containers and rushed through the station's corridors, her heart pounding with sudden dread. The main screen displayed a sight that made her blood run cold. 17 massive ships hung in space above Nexus 7, their dark hulls bristling with weapon arrays. The vessels bore the distinctive angular design of the Kethmori Empire, a militaristic species known for their aggressive expansion policies. "They're hailing us," Torres reported, her voice tight with fear. "Put them through," Zara commanded, straightening her shoulders despite the terror coursing through her veins. The screen flickered, revealing the imposing figure of Commander Dexel. His reptilian features were harsh and predatory, with scales that seemed to shift color with his mood. Currently, they displayed a deep crimson that Zara instinctively recognized as aggressive intent. "Human settlement." Dexel's voice was a low growl that seemed to vibrate through the station's hull. "I am Commander Dexel of the Kethmori Third Fleet. This system now falls under Imperial jurisdiction. You have 24 hours to surrender unconditionally and prepare for relocation." Zara found her voice, though it came out steadier than she felt. "Commander, we're a scientific research station. We have no military capabilities or territorial claims. Surely there's room for negotiation." Dexel's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Human, your species' reputation for pacifism precedes you. We have studied your kind extensively. You are soft, collaborative creatures who prefer discussion to action. This makes you ideal for labor positions within our empire." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the station's crew in stunned silence. Dr. Marcus Webb, the station's elderly archaeologist, was the first to speak. His weathered face carried an expression Zara had never seen before, something hard and calculating. "Zara, gather everyone in the main conference room. We need to talk." Within minutes, the 12-person crew assembled around the central table. Zara looked at each face, seeing fear mixed with something else, something that surprised her. "Determination. They think we're helpless," Webb said quietly. His voice carried an authority that hadn't been there during his usual lectures about ancient civilizations. "They've made assumptions about humans based on incomplete data." Kai Nakamura, their 16-year-old engineering prodigy who had joined the mission as part of an advanced education program, leaned forward. "Dr. Webb, what do you mean by incomplete data?" Webb's eyes seemed to look through decades of memories. "They see our research stations, our diplomatic missions, our peaceful settlements. But they don't understand something fundamental about humanity. We don't choose to be warriors, but when survival is at stake, every human becomes one." Zara stared at the old man. "Marcus, what aren't you telling us?" "I wasn't always an archaeologist," Webb replied simply. 20 years ago, I was Colonel Marcus Webb, Special Forces. I retired to academic life because I was tired of war. But some skills never leave you. The revelation sent a ripple of shock through the group, but also something else, hope. What do we have to work with? Webb asked, his tone shifting to what Zara now recognized as military efficiency. Torres spoke up. The atmospheric processes can be modified. I studied engineering before communications. Those units generate significant electromagnetic pulses. Dr. Sarah Kim, their geologist, added, the mineral extractors we use for soil samples operate on focused sonic principles. With some adjustments, they could become sonic weapons. Young Kai's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. The fusion reactor that powers our station. If we reroute the plasma flow through the communications array, we could create a directed energy system. Zara watched in amazement as her peaceful research team transformed before her eyes. Each person began contributing ideas, drawing on knowledge and skills she never knew they possessed. The Kethmori scan for traditional weapons, Webb explained as they worked. They won't recognize modified scientific equipment as threats until it's too late. Over the next several hours, the research station underwent a radical transformation. Dr. Petrov, their botanist, began synthesizing chemical compounds from local plant life that proved highly corrosive to the materials used in Kethmori armor. The station's agricultural specialist, Dr. Yates, revealed her background in military logistics and began coordinating their limited resources with ruthless efficiency. Even their medical officer, Dr. Reeves, contributed by analyzing Kethmori physiology from their databases and identifying potential vulnerabilities in their biological systems. As the 24-hour deadline approached, Commander Vexol returned to the screen for their response. Human. Settlement, do you surrender? He demanded. Zara looked around at her team. These weren't soldiers, but they had become something more than simple researchers. They had become defenders. Commander Vexol, she said calmly, we respectfully decline your offer. Vexol's scales shifted to a darker red. You choose death over servitude. Very well. Prepare for bombardment. Commander Zara continued, her voice carrying a new edge. Before you proceed, you should know that we've spent the last day analyzing your ships. Your thermal shielding has a significant vulnerability when exposed to alternating electromagnetic frequencies. Your hull composition shows stress fractures when subjected to specific sonic resonances, and your atmospheric recycling systems can be compromised by introducing certain organic compounds we've synthesized from local flora. The color in Vexol's scales shifted to something Zara didn't recognize, but his sub-commander Vorth whispered urgently in his ear. Impossible, Vexol snarled. You are researchers, not warriors. You're right, Zara replied. We are researchers. But you made one critical error in your assessment of our species, which is Zara's expression hardened. You assumed that being peaceful by choice means being helpless by nature. Every human child learns to fight before they learn to walk. Every human adult carries the instincts of 1,000,000 years of survival. We choose cooperation because we're strong enough to enforce it, not because we're too weak to resist. The screen flickered as the first wave of Kethmori fighters launched. Toward the planet's surface, Webb moved to the tactical console they had improvised from their geological survey equipment. Zara, they're coming in fast. 3 squadrons, standard attack formation. Torres, are the atmospheric processors ready? Zara asked. Electromagnetic pulse generators, online, Captain. Kim, sonic disruptors. calibrated to Kethmori hull frequencies. Kai, how's our main weapon? The teenager's fingers flew over controls that had been designed for atmospheric analysis, but now served a very different purpose. Plasma routing complete. We have full power to the communications array. Zara watched the incoming fighters on their improvised tactical display. Her heart pounded, but her hands were steady. Something ancient and fundamental had awakened in her mind, instincts she never knew she possessed. Remember, Webb said quietly, they expect us to run or hide. They don't expect us to fight back with weapons they don't recognize. The first squadron entered the planet's atmosphere, their ships gleaming in the afternoon sunlight. They moved with confident precision, preparing for what they assumed would be an easy bombardment of a defenseless research station. They were about to learn just how wrong their assumptions had been. All stations ready, Captain, Webb reported. Zara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of command settle on her shoulders like a familiar coat. Fire. Born for battle, the first electromagnetic pulse erupted from the modified atmospheric processors, washing over the lead squadron of Kethmori fighters like an invisible wave of destruction. The aliens had never encountered weapons that masqueraded as environmental equipment, and their ship's defensive systems were completely unprepared for the assault. 3 fighters immediately lost power, their sophisticated electronics fried by the unexpected electromagnetic interference. They tumbled from the sky like broken toys, their pilots' emergency communications filling the void with confusion and panic. Second wave, sonic disruptors, Zara commanded, her voice calm despite the adrenaline coursing through her system. Dr. Kim activated the modified mineral extractors, sending focused sonic pulses toward the remaining fighters. The carefully calculated frequencies caused catastrophic resonance in the Kethmori hull composition, literally shaking the ships apart from the inside. Metal screamed as it fractured, and 2 more enemy craft exploded in brilliant fireballs. Above the planet, Commander Dexel watched his tactical display with growing disbelief. Impossible, he hissed to Sub-Commander Vorth. They're using scientific equipment as weapons. How did they know our vulnerabilities? Sir, Vorth replied, his own scales now showing patterns of fear. Perhaps we underestimated their capabilities. On the surface, young Kai Nakamura proved that age meant nothing when survival instincts awakened. His fingers danced across the jury-rigged controls of their plasma weapon with the intuitive skill of a born tactician. Captain, I have targeting solutions for the second squadron. Take the shot, Zara ordered. A brilliant beam of concentrated plasma erupted from what had once been their communications array. The energy stream, hot enough to cut through Starship armor like paper, lanced toward the second squadron of fighters. The lead pilot had barely enough time to register the incoming attack before his ship vaporized in a burst of superheated gas. Dr. Petrov's chemical weapons deployed next, released into the atmosphere through modified irrigation systems. The organic compounds he had synthesized from local plant life proved devastatingly effective against Kethmori biology. Fighters that flew through the chemical clouds found their life support systems failing as the corrosive agents ate through their breathing apparatus. Sir, the Kethmori tactical officer reported to Vexel, we've lost 8 fighters in the first engagement. The humans are using weapons we've never encountered before. Dexel's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. Deploy the ground forces. If we cannot bomb them from orbit, we will take the station by force. But Dr. Yates had anticipated this move. Her background in military logistics had prepared her for ground assault scenarios. Captain, motion sensors are detecting incoming dropships. 12 craft, approximately 8 soldiers each. Torres, are the perimeter defenses ready? Zara asked. Modified mining charges placed at strategic locations. Remote detonation capability. Confirmed. Dr. Reeves, their medical officer, had spent the last several hours analyzing Kethmori biological data. Captain, I've identified several weaknesses in their respiratory and nervous systems. The atmospheric composition adjustments I've made to our environmental systems should disorient them significantly. As the dropships descended, they encountered the first of many surprises. What appeared to be standard landing zones had been transformed into death traps. Mining charges, originally designed for geological surveys, created focused explosions that sent several dropships spinning out of control. The Kethmori soldiers who managed to land found themselves in an environment that seemed to fight against them. The modified atmospheric composition made them dizzy and confused, while hidden sonic emitters created subsonic frequencies that induced nausea and disorientation. But the greatest shock came when they encountered the humans themselves. Zara Chen, marine biologist, moved through the station's corridors with the fluid grace of a born warrior. Her scientific training had taught her to observe and analyze, skills that translated perfectly to combat tactics. She anticipated enemy movements, set ambushes, and struck with precision that left seasoned Kethmori soldiers reeling. Dr. Webb revealed the full extent of his military background, leading a flanking maneuver that cut off the alien advance. His knowledge of both warfare and the station's layout proved devastatingly effective. They're moving in standard military formations, he called out over their improvised communication system. They expect conventional resistance. Young Kai proved to be perhaps the most dangerous of all. His teenage mind, unencumbered by adult limitations, saw tactical possibilities that escaped even experienced soldiers. Using the station's maintenance tunnels and his intimate knowledge of every system, he appeared seemingly from nowhere to strike at enemy forces before vanishing again. How is this possible? Sub-Commander Vorth demanded as report after report of failed assaults reached the command ship. They are scientists, not soldiers. Commander Vexel studied the tactical displays with growing comprehension and horror. No, he said slowly, we were wrong about their nature. Look at how they fight. The humans didn't fight like soldiers, who had been trained for war. They fought like a species that had evolved for it. Every movement was instinctive, every decision tactical, every innovation deadly. They adapted in real time, turning whatever they found into weapons or advantages. Dr. Kim used her geological knowledge to predict enemy movements through the station's structural weak points. Dr. Petrov's botanical expertise became chemical warfare mastery. Torres transformed communication equipment into electronic warfare systems that jammed Kethmori coordination efforts. Even more shocking was how they worked together. Without formal military hierarchy or training, they moved as a perfectly coordinated unit. Each person anticipated the other's needs, covered their weaknesses, and amplified their strengths. Sir, the Kethmori communications officer reported, we're receiving surrender requests from our ground forces. Dexel's scales went completely white, a color his species displayed only in the face of incomprehensible terror. Surrender to 12 researchers. The final revelation came when young Kai's voice crackled over the communication channel, speaking directly to the Kethmori command ship. Commander Vexel, this is Kai Nakamura. I'm 16 years old, and I want you to understand something important. "What is it, human child?" Dexel replied, his voice hollow with defeat. "You made one mistake in your research about humans," Kai said, his young voice carrying wisdom beyond his years. "You studied our peaceful settlements and thought we were naturally passive, but you missed the crucial point. We choose to be peaceful because we're terrifyingly good at war. Every human child plays games that are actually combat simulations. Every human adult carries the genetic memory of predators who survived by being smarter, faster, and more adaptable than anything else on our planet." Dexel felt something cold settle in his chest. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that every human is born combat ready," Kai continued. "We don't need military training to become dangerous. We need military training to become disciplined. The moment you threatened us, you awakened something that evolution spent millions of years perfecting." Dr. Webb's voice joined the communication. "Commander, we're not angry at you. We understand you acted according to your species' nature, but you need to understand ours. We didn't become warriors when you arrived. We simply stopped pretending we weren't." The final shock came when Zara Chen offered terms that no defeated species had a right to propose. "Commander Vexel, we're prepared to offer you safe passage from this system. In return, we ask that you carry a message to your empire." "What message?" Vexel asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Tell them that humans are not the peaceful prey species you thought we were. We're apex predators who chose cooperation over conquest. But when we're forced to fight, we don't just win. We adapt, we innovate, and we never forget." The Kethmor fleet departed Nexus 7 3 hours later, carrying with them a new understanding of humanity that would reshape interstellar relations for generations to come. As the alien ships disappeared beyond the edge of the system, the research station settled back into its quiet routine. But something had changed in each of the 12 humans who had defended it. They had discovered something about themselves that they never expected to find. "So what now?" Torres asked, as they watched the last enemy ship vanish from their sensors. Zara looked around at her team, these remarkable people who had transformed from researchers into warriors and back again, in the span of 2 days. "Now we continue our research," she said simply. "But we do it knowing who we really are." Dr. Webb nodded slowly. "We're humans," he said. "We explore, we learn, we build, and we protect. And when someone threatens what we've built, they discover that every single one of us was born ready for battle." The research station's daily routine resumed, but the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. Word of the incident at Nexus 7 spread through alien civilizations like wildfire, carrying with it a simple but powerful message. Humans were not the helpless prey species they appeared to be. They were something far more dangerous, intelligent predators who had chosen peace, and who would defend that choice with the same evolutionary advantages that had made them the dominant species on their home world. The universe had learned a valuable lesson about humanity. They were not harmless because they were weak. They were harmless because they chose to be. And that choice was backed by millions of years of evolutionary refinement that had produced the ultimate adaptive predator, a species that could turn anything into a weapon, anyone into a warrior, and any situation into an opportunity for survival. The research on Nexus 7 continued, but now it was protected by the knowledge that sometimes the most dangerous humans were the ones who had never been trained to fight.